again, Internet! It's me, Megan. It's Monday. It's my video day. It's Masquerade Monday, as you maybe could tell. My bangs are in my face. It's Masquerade Monday because very recently there was a lot of masquerade-related stuff going on, and I felt like I should share. Because I like to share everything that's going on in my life with the internet. So, last weekend, my friends threw a birthday party, sort of for me, mostly for them, but sort of for me. In addition to my friends / my birthday masquerade party, there's also gonna be another masquerade coming up at the place where I work. We're doing a pride prom for the Queer and Allies Club, and I decided to use the same mask because I already had it, and why not? Masks are always fun. But because there's so much fortuitous masquerading happening in my life, I decided to share a little bit about the history of the masquerade because it's actually pretty cool. So masquerade balls started becoming a thing in the 15th century when people started to put together really elaborate, like, royal entries and pageants and processions and marriage celebrations and stuff like that. If you saw the Tudors, you know how King Henry met Anne. That's kind of how it works. So an early example of sort of the beginnings of the masquerade was something called the Burning Men's Ball, which took place in celebration of the marriage of a lady-in-waiting of the Queen of France in 1393. The King of France and 5 of his courtiers dressed up as wild men of the woods and danced around torches in costumes made out of pitch and flax fiber. And as pitch and flax fiber are both wont to do around open flame, they caught fire. Thus, the Burning Men's Ball was born. The original Burning Men's Ball in France is said to have inspired Edgar Allan Poe's short story, Hop Frog. So, masquerade balls became public events during the 16th century in Venice and during the Renaissance, when people started realizing that hiding your identity to make your drunken shenanigans anonymous was a really good idea. And people continue that fine tradition to this day. Masquerades were particularly popular in Venice, and masked balls were often held for members of the upper class, the elite, and long have been associated with the Venetian Carnival. So with the fall of the Venetian Republic at the end of the 18th century, the use and tradition of masks sort of declined, eventually disappeared altogether, and Venice sort of entered a mask-free phase where everybody could see each other's faces and each other's shame. The rest of mainland Europe sort of embraced the trend of the masquerade in the 17th and 18th centuries. I can't say it. The rest of mainland Europe embraced the masquerade in the 17th and 18th centuries. John James Heidegger, a Swiss count who arrived in London in 1708, is kind of credited with bringing the masquerade to London in the first place as a big popular thing. People would pay money, like a subscription fee, and they'd get invited to all the coolest parties, because all the coolest parties involved masks. Masquerades were cool because a lot of the times you couldn't tell who was there as a guest and who was there as a paid actor. A lot of times members of the upper class would pay actors to hang about at their masquerades and make them more lively and more entertaining. So the costumed actors would be sort of mingling with the rest of the guests, kind of like Disneyland, only more exclusive and twice as fancy, and with champagne. Masquerade sort of developed a reputation for unseemly behavior, unescorted women, assignations, also known as sort of a rendezvous or a tryst, wherein two lovers arrange to meet in secret. Because where better to secretly meet your secret lover than in public? So throughout the 18th century, masquerades became really popular in colonial America, and as that happened, there was a significant anti-masquerade movement going on at the same time. Anti-masquerade writers thought that balls encouraged immorality and also foreign influence, and while both of those things are probably true, opponents of fun in America clearly have been making their case since before America was an actual country. While members of the anti-fun brigade were sometimes able to persuade local law enforcement to see things their way, it was sort of hard for them to enforce the "you can't party and wear a mask" rule, because pretty much everybody loves masks and everybody loves a party. Masquerade balls were also sometimes presented as a game amongst the guests, sort of an identity, like guess who I am sort of thing. Supposedly, you were dressed so that nobody could identify you, but if you've ever seen Sofia Coppola's version of Marie Antoinette, you can tell exactly who the Queen of France is because she's wearing a sheer ribbon over her face. You are the Queen of France, you can do better. For this reason, masquerades are unendingly popular in things like romance novels and also general literature. There's also a pretty creepy looking Doctor Who villain that kind of has a masquerade themed costume because it's in France at the same time. If you've seen The Girl in the Fireplace, you know what I'm talking about. Masquerade is also a really prominent event and theme in The Phantom of the Opera, obviously in the original novel, and then later on Andrew Lloyd Webber's fabulous musical version of The Phantom of the Opera definitely plays with the mask theme a lot. So, you know, is the Phantom good? Is he bad? Is he hiding his true self? You don't know. The mask, it's just impervious. There's sort of the false mask that Christine wears. You know, who does she love? Is she being false to somebody? Why is she in a swan bed? These are all important questions. Masquerades are still astoundingly popular. Mardi Gras, Carnival, the Venetian Carnival, all of those result in numerous celebrations every year, and most of them involve masquerades. The masquerades sort of come to focus more on the festive part of that than the organized danced part. As organized balls sort of became less and less popular, it became less important to know the steps to every dance, so people sort of use it as an excuse to take the debauchery to whole new levels. Also, the See Also section on Wikipedia for masquerades includes costume parties, LARPing, Lolita fashion, the Society for Creative Anachronism, and bafflingly, cosplay restaurant. Maybe are cosplay restaurants a thing? Like, are they a thing? Somebody find out. Internet, find out. I am delegating this task to you. Tell me if cosplay restaurants are a thing. I hope you all enjoyed your Monday. I know it's late, and I will see you next week.